I don't know how to start this. I have a problem. Hello everybody, welcome back. This is the Random Diaries. Today's video, from the title, you can tell, is going to be a haul. The last hauls that I did, there were two hauls, there are only two hauls, were divided into standalones and series. Today it's going to be all of them together, but if it's a series, I'm going to mention that. What I want to do in this video is I kind of want to give a bit more of a summary of the books. I have two of these Billy bookshelves, and then I have one of the small ones. I keep my books in 5 different locations in my room. So I have 4 bookcases, 3 of which that you're going to see, and then I have a coffee table that has glass on all sides, so it's kind of like a display exhibit coffee table. And I've just lined up and stacked up a bunch of books all along the coffee table, and then in the middle as well. It was organized many months ago. It's messy now. When I get it looking the way that I want it to look like, then I'll probably like do a comprehensive maybe tour of all of my book areas, or maybe just that. So the way that I'm going to do this haul is I'm just going to go to all of my bookshelves and go through the shelves one by one, and then mention the books that of course are new. I have one more order that's coming in from Waterstones, and it's a bit of a hefty order. I have a problem. It's like 39-40 books. But I've promised myself that I'm going to try to make that be the last book haul of 2020. I hope so. We'll see. I mean, I'm going to allow myself like maybe to buy 1-2 books, but nothing like the hauls that I've been hauling recently. And you guys are going to be hearing meowing in the background. That's my cat. All right. So in the first shelf here, this is a recent haul, I don't know what to call it, but this is one of the books that recently came in, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I've never read this. Watching the Disney movie was such an amazing experience as a kid. I absolutely loved it. I loved Esmeralda. I just loved the story. I loved the music. I loved everything about it. It was like appropriately dark, and it was something that I really, really loved. So I'm really looking forward to reading it. I didn't think that it was gonna be this big, but looking forward to it. Let me just keep this down here, and then I think that's it. So this is a recent purchase. So the Hunchback I got off of Amazon, and then this I got from a local bookstore, so Jadid, if you guys are familiar with it. It's like it's similar to like this. It has like a soft feel to it. It's like faux leather, and then this is shiny. Probably not going to be able to see, but never read this as well. Super looking forward to it. I think like this is going to be one of the classics that I actually do like. I mean, this is the good thing about reading a classic as an adult. You get to form your own opinion. If you read it when you're younger, you kind of just you feel self-conscious about disagreeing with the fact that it's a classic. Like maybe you just don't see the value in the book. But as an adult, you kind of feel more free to disagree and say, well, you know, this is not something that I think is valuable, or whatever it may be, either objectively or subjectively. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. I got a copy of Jane Eyre. This is also a beautiful copy. It's like a soft, like a pliable kind of cover, and it has quotations and words from the story. I have never owned a physical copy of Jane Eyre, although I have read it in ebook form. And this is something I actually teach in my classes. So I'm really excited for this physical copy, but I've also ordered another one. And I'm thinking that I'm gonna keep one of them for like annotations and like writing in the margins, and then the other one in pristine condition. So that's that. And then this is another classic. So this is Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility. I got all 3 of these from a local bookstore, which is Jadid, and this of course is part of like the same has the same design. It's from, where is it from? I think like Word Clouds. Yeah, Word Cloud Classics. Let's see if I can focus on that. There you go. So I love them, and every different classic comes in a different color. And then all of these I think I have spoken about. And then here, this is another recent, am I stepping on something? All right, this is another book that I've received recently. So this is The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I got 2 books by this author. This one and Mexican Gothic, which is down there, off of Amazon. Circe is another book. I think, yeah, I think this was off of Amazon as well. So this is a hardback. Has like a little nice metallic, like almost orangey copper cover. Cover is absolutely beautiful. I was hoping that I would get this one. I also got Wild Beauty by Anna Maria McLemore. I got this off of Amazon as well. And then Dune, I got from the Virgin Megastore here in Saudi Arabia. I kind of wanted the other cover that has, I think it's a girl on the cover. This is kind of like plain-ish, and it reminds me of Mad Max, that movie with Charlize Theron. I never watched it. I wasn't really interested in watching it, but it kind of reminds me of it, which is why I'm not a big fan of the cover, but whatever. And then this is another book that I got from a local bookstore, from Jarir to be exact. Another Tahra Mafi purchase. This is A Very Large Expanse of Sea. Also from my local bookstore, I got David Mitchell's Slade House. I believe this is like a mystery. Sounded intriguing. Something about like a small, a place that's like a hole in the wall. This is something that I got from the local bookstore as well. Trevor Noah's Born a Crime. Came highly recommended. Finally got my hands on it. I got Jennifer Armentrout's From Blood and Ash. I went through her series that includes White Hot Kiss in one night, read all 3, and I got them as ebooks. I never showed them, but they were purchases from like early in the quarantine. This is my second series by her. Haven't read it yet. I ordered Storm and Fury, but it got cancelled, so I'm gonna have to wait on that. I'm gonna read this first, and then I'll look into maybe getting that one. But thankfully I can get that locally. I don't have to order it online. I also finally got a copy of Robert Jackson Bennett's Foundry Side. So as a linguistics major, this is super interesting to me. The magic system in this world works similarly to coding, is what I've heard. So if you understand the code of a specific object, then you can control it with magic. I think, like, roughly that's how the magic system works. So I'm super excited for that. And then down here we have Sleeping Giants. This is a sci-fi story. It has like giants that are found in a field, and then the story goes on from there. And I think the way that it's told is there are like interviews or clippings or pictures or something. I think it's like told in interview style. So this came highly recommended as well, and I got this off of Amazon. Anything that I get off of Amazon, I generally get used, and the condition is very good or good. But if I find a copy, and then the new version and the used version are, there isn't much of a difference in the price, then I'll usually just go for the new one, because the used ones that I get are generally kind of torn up in the spine, or there's like a tear in the dust jacket. So that's usually like my system for buying anything off of Amazon. And then I think I spoke about all of these. This is a new purchase. So this is Valiant. So this is about a girl who becomes a gladiator, and I think she wants to avenge her murdered sister. I think her brother and her sister get murdered, so she goes sort of on a quest for vengeance. And then down here, what do we have? Furyborn. So this is part of a series. Furyborn, and I think the other one's called, I want to say Kingsbane, or I could be making that up. But this is the first book in the trilogy, the Imperium trilogy to be exact. I think the story occurs in 2 different timelines. present and future, or I think it's present and past, and it's like 2,000 years apart. You have two women that are set to rule, and that's roughly all I remember from the summary. Did I get this from Amazon? Yeah, I got this from Amazon as well, and you can see like it's kind of, there's some shelfware. And then this is the other Sylvia Garcia book that I got, Mexican Gothic. This sounds super interesting. So I think it's a girl that receives a letter from her cousin who was recently married, and her cousin is talking about abuse and how things aren't what they seem. And I think she asks her cousin and uncle to come and help her. I think that's kind of like roughly the story. Got that off Amazon as well. This is Unearthed by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. I got this from my local bookstore. I haven't read Amy Kaufman's book with Jay Kristoff. I don't remember what it's called at the moment. I haven't read that yet, but I couldn't pass this up. You rarely find hardbacks here. Generally, the majority of the books are in paperback form, so I thought, why not get it? I think I spoke about Kingdom of Copper. Truly Devious. So this is part of a duology. No, it's part of a trilogy. So Truly Devious is something that I was really excited to have. I think it includes like a murder. There's a mystery, I think. And then I got another Robert Jackson Bennett book, City of Stairs. This was raved about, so I had to get a copy. And this was this the copy that I want? No, there's another cover that I wanted, but I couldn't find it. I remember I was looking on Amazon, Waterstones, Book Depository. I couldn't find the cover that I wanted, so I just settled for this one. And I generally want my books to all be the same edition. So, and this was something where I found the other books were, you know, in that same print. I think I spoke about this. The Black Prism. I don't remember if I spoke about this or not, but I believe this is another Amazon find. So The Black Prism is the first book in a series. The magic system here is interesting because it is based on light. So magicians or the individuals can control different types of light, and they're limited to one light. And as you use the power, it consumes your energy. And there is like one person in every few, I want to say centuries, or it's just rare, where you have one person that can control all light. And that happens to be the main character in this story. And he discovers that he has a son somewhere. So it's a fantasy. And then I think I spoke about all of these. I think I mentioned We Hunt the Flame, Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. I'm not sure if this came in last time, but this is something that I was super interested in reading. I think the concept is like, I think it's like a weird read that I'm excited for. This is something I got from my local bookstore. I read this as a palate cleanser. And I'll show you the book that I read it as a palate cleanser for. But this is set in the world of Beauty and the Beast. Beauty is stuck in a book and she has to find her way out. That's very loosely what the story is about. I read this after reading this by Toni Morrison, so The Bluest Eye. This was a heavy read. This is the book that I was reading during my mid-July reading vlog. I'm hopefully going to edit that and post it. This was a heavy read. It deals with issues of race, and not just race across ethnicities, but race within one ethnic group. And it touches on a lot of topics that are worth discussing and worth bringing up. So this is something that was interesting, but it definitely was painful. And on the top shelf, I have a bunch of Mina Lima Interactive Elements editions of classics. So we have Beauty and the Beast, Peter Pan, and Secret Garden. I got these off of Waterstones, and then I got The Adventures of Pinocchio off of Amazon. If you notice, I've left the plastic on them. I kind of eagerly took it off of this one, and then I decided after I took the plastic off that I actually wanted to keep it on, and I wanted to do a video of me looking through them for the first time. So I've had great discipline, haven't opened them up at all, not even this one that doesn't have the plastic on. So I'm excited to film this. I think this would be super interesting for me to film and look through. I think it's going to be amazing. So that's something that I'm looking forward to doing. this shelf actually is all books that I haven't mentioned that I only just recently got. The first one is an epic fantasy. It's called Blood Song. It's about a man that as a child was left on the doorstep of an order called the Order of the Sixth, I believe, or the Order of the Sixth, and he is raised by them, and he is trained and taught by them to fight and kill in order to defend the faith in the realm. And then when he grows up, I think when he grows up he finds this out, or I think he knew all along, but when he grows up he finds out that he is the son of the king of the realm. And so he sets out on a journey to figure out why he was deprived of his birthright, and then he figures out something about his mother as well. So this is an epic fantasy, and it looks like one, but I've heard a lot of great things about this. And then the next books, that was something that I got off of Waterstones. These 3 books, okay, this is not easy. So these 3 books are books that I got off of Amazon. When I initially got them, a couple of weeks in, I got an email that said that they were lost, and so I got a refund. But all of a sudden this week they showed up. But unfortunately I went and I purchased replacements for them off of Waterstones, so I'm gonna have duplicates. But I'm definitely gonna return the other one because these are the covers that I really wanted. So this is the hardback cover. The paperback covers weren't really that appealing, but I think these covers are absolutely stunning. And these are also books that are highly recommended. Everything that I got, I think, I don't really take risks that much when I choose the books that I want. I generally try to go for things that are highly recommended, or at least have tropes that I absolutely love. Then maybe I'll take a risk. But this is about a girl who, what does she have? She's able to sense if somebody is fae. And so she is given the task of seeking them out and then killing them, because the fae are known to kill the innocent. Other than that, I have no idea what's going on. This is another book that was supposedly lost but found its way to me. This is, I think, the second or the third book in the Winner's trilogy. The first one is called The Winner's Curse. I think this is about a girl who is given the choice of either joining the military or getting married, and she doesn't want to do either. She tries to set out, you know, her own path in life. She runs into somebody, I think it's a slave at an auction, and then journey commences from there. That is all I know about this, but again, something that was highly recommended. This is something that I feel like everybody knows about, but look at these sprayed edges. I love it. So The Devouring Grey, for those of you that don't know what this is about a group of kids that are descendants of founder families of, I think, like a town called Four Paths, and there are some sinister woods involved in the story, and people end up out there. There's a string of murders, and these kids get together in order to figure out what is going on. So this is the first book in, I think it's a duology, but at least it's a series, and this is book 1. This next one is actually from POC author Evan Winter. This is a story about revenge, about knights, and I think it's about a man who's like the rug gets swept from under him, and he goes out looking for vengeance and revenge. He wanted a quiet life, but something happened to disrupt that, and so he goes out seeking revenge. So this is the epic fantasy. This involves stories within a story. So initially it's set in a bar or a pub on the Thames in the UK, and somebody walks in with hugging the corpse of a child, but then a few moments later or a while after, the child is back or breathes and comes back to life. And so it's a mystery, and like I said, it revolves around storytelling, so I think it's going to be like a bunch of stories that are woven in together. Kind of reminds me of like the Canterbury Tales. So that's all I know about this one, but I was excited to get this one as well. And then the next set here are a bunch of books about mythology and stories. So this one and the last one, so this is Mythos, and then this is Heroes by Stephen Fry. I love Stephen Fry's humor and the way he articulates himself and the way that he explains things. So this is book 2, and then, oh, whoa, that was aggressive. And then this is book 1. So these are basically just retellings of Greek myths. So that is something that I am excited for because I think it's going to be humorous and I'm all for that. Next, I have Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology. I love history, I love mythology. This wasn't that much of a surprise for me to get it. And then these two, I got these 3 off of Amazon. I got this off of Waterstones. This was off of Waterstones as well. These 3 actually were off of Waterstones. These 4 were from Amazon. And then Bloodsong, like I said, is off of Waterstones. These are from my local bookstore. I think I got them from the Virgin Megastore here. This is Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales. It has gilded edges. It's absolutely beautiful. And then this is Gods and Heroes of Ancient Greece. This was actually a birthday present from my sister. Absolutely beautiful cover. Look at the illustration. And then again, this one has gilded edges as well. So these are the books that are about, these are heavy. These are the books that are about Greek mythology and stories in general. Let's move to the next shelf. The only books that are new on the shelf that I haven't spoken about, I forgot to mention these during my other hauls. So I actually did receive these a long time ago, but I think it's part of a trilogy. So this is Nevermore Book 1, and this is the sequel, Wondersmith, and I believe the 3rd one is called Hollowpox. I got these off of some YouBuy. There you go. I kept forgetting what it was called, but I got these off of YouBuy. It didn't take that long to get to me. It got to me relatively quickly. The way that I heard people talking about this is if you are craving something that's kind of going to fill that Harry Potter void that you might have, then this is something that you should try out. I'm super excited to read these because I want to read them with my nephew. He's 10 years old, and he just recently picked up Harry Potter book number 1. So I'm excited to read that with him, but then this would be something that I think would be a real great bonding opportunity for him and I. The little magic system in these books I heard is super interesting and super fun. Like, you can travel via umbrellas and whatnot, so I think this is something that I'm going to like and he's going to like as well. And then on this shelf, nearly everything is relatively new. So we're going to start from the left. These 2 books are part of a series. I'm not sure if it's a duology or if there are any more books, but the story behind this is there is a girl, she's our main character, and she is able to sew or embroider spells into things. She gets pulled into working for the court, and so there's political intrigue. Her brother is actually one of the rebels that is, against the monarchy, and that's all I know. So I thought that the magic system was unique. The fact that it's embroidered spells, I found that interesting. These 2 books are part of the series as well. Again, I'm not 100% sure if it's just a duology or if there are more books, but I have book number 1 and book number 2. So the story behind this is the first one, and then this is the second one. The main character here loses her brother, and so she leaves. She's a fae. She leaves the fae world and she hides amongst the humans, but then a handsome fae shows up and he kind of pulls her back into the fae world, and she bites off more than she can chew, is what I understood. So, and I think this is part of like a darker fantasy. Alright, these 3 books. So I got the Unraveled Kingdom and the Fortuna Sworn. These are off of Amazon. And then the next 2 series are a series that I got from Waterstones. So we have Red Sister, Grey Sister, and Holy Sister. This is a story about a novice nun. She was actually left at the convent the convent steps when she was a child, and she was supposedly guilty of murder or something along those lines. And she becomes a novice nun, and in this convent the nuns are trained to fight and to kill. So they're a bunch of assassins, and it takes 10 years to train them. So she's one of these nuns, and that's all I know. So I thought this was really intriguing. And then there was a show that came out on Netflix in June called Warrior Nun. I thought it was actually based off of this, but they're not connected at all. But it's, I mean, if you want to watch something about warrior nuns and assassin nuns and badass nuns, then you can go ahead and watch that. And then this series is very popular. Never read it before. So this is the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. So the story behind this, or at least the first one, is there are a group of people that are known as the Reds, and they are given the task of, I think they're on Mars, and they're given the task of working towards something in order to make another planet habitable. And little do they know that that other planet has been inhabited for centuries, and that they were working for people that are designated as the Golds. So the Reds are seen as the slave labor, and the Golds are, you know, superior to them. And so they find out that that is happening, and so they rebel against them. And then these, like I said, were off of Waterstones. Next, we have nonfiction. It's a book called Brown, What Being Brown in the World Today Means. I thought this was really interesting, especially living where I live. I thought it would be something that I could bring up and discuss with my students. So there's a line off of the synopsis that says, in today's world, on the cusp of whiteness and the edge of blackness, it's an exploration of that in-between space for like brown people. So I thought it would be something that would be interesting. Next, we have a thriller. This is The Troop by Nick Cutter. So the story behind The Troop is you have a group of Boy Scouts, Troop 52 I think they're called. They are camping in the woods, and then somebody comes into their camp and is scary looking, and that's all I know. But I heard that this was super scary, so looking forward to that. I love scary movies, and I hope it's something that is a bit unpredictable. Next, we have The Vine Witch. This is part of a series. This is about, so I think the story takes place in France, on a chateau, and the vineyard of this chateau depends on the spells of vine witches. So they cast spells in order to improve the production of this vineyard. One of the vine witches gets cursed, and she is cursed, I believe, for 7 years, and then she breaks the curse, and she discovers that the vineyard that she was meant to inherit actually went to somebody else. So she disguises herself in order to figure out what happened, who it was that cursed her, and then she finds that there are a bunch of hexes all over the vineyard. So she's trying to figure out what is going on. City of Ghosts. So this is a book that I unfortunately have duplicate copies of, so I have to return one of them. But this is by Victoria Schwab. I think this is geared toward like a younger audience. I haven't read any Victoria Schwab or V.E. Schwab books yet, but the story behind this I thought was interesting. It's a girl whose best friend is a ghost. That is all I know. Next, we have a retelling of a fairy tale. So I think this is the second book in a series, and I think they're companion novels. The first one is called Damsel. I don't remember who it's based off of or what story it's based off of, but this one obviously is based off of Red Riding Hood. I don't know anything other than that, just that it's a retelling, and I actually really do love retellings. And then we have Bonecryer's Moon. This is something that I got off of Amazon, and then Red Hood was off of Amazon as well, and City of Ghosts. Vine Witch was another purchase from Waterstones. So Bonecryer's Moon, all I remember, and I was debating whether or not to get this. I kept, looking at the synopsis and watching reviews over and over again, but then I just bit the bullet and got it. What I remember is that in order for you to become like a bone crier, I think is what the title is, you have to sacrifice a loved one. That's very roughly what this is about. My battery is flashing. Okay, the next book we have is The Kinder Poison. This is another Amazon purchase. The story behind this is there is a girl who is able to communicate with animals. She works in the stables at a royal palace, and the ruler of that kingdom is dying, and then the heirs engaged like in a competition or a race across the desert, and then at the end they have to take the life of a human sacrifice, and all of a sudden this girl finds herself as a human sacrifice. I think she stumbles upon them in the palace, and she gets, that happens, so she has to figure out a way out of it. And then next we have The Dividing. I'm not 100% sure what this is about. There's like a rite of passage or a ritual that kids of 18 have to do in order to figure out if they're going to be part of the slave labor or not. I think there's somebody that is part of like the real world, and there's this you know, fantasy world, and that person gets dragged into it. I'm not really sure what this is about, but I remember I liked the synopsis, so I purchased it. That's all I know. And then lastly on this shelf is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. This is a book by Grady Hendrix. I've heard so many good things about this. So not only is it about suburban mothers that are part of a book club and trying to spice things up and try to figure out how to get rid of a vampire that moved into the neighborhood, but I heard that it has a lot of 80s and 90s references, and I am all for that. So I'm super excited to get to this one. And that is that for that shelf. I forgot one more book that was on a different shelf. The Bridge Kingdom. So I also unfortunately have duplicates of this. But the story behind the Bridge Kingdom, I think, is like an arranged marriage, something along those lines. But it's something that I've heard a lot of positive reviews about, so I'm excited to get to that. And then down here on this shelf, so on the bottom two shelves, I have a lot of boxed sets. So I have Harry Potter. So like I said, my nephew is starting book 1. I've never been so proud of my life. And then I have Naomi Novik's Temeraire trilogy, book 1, book 2, book 3. And then V.E. Schwab's The Shades of Magic. So this is a trilogy. I've heard nothing but good things about this. Excited to get to that. And then the All Souls trilogy by Deborah Harkness. So I initially watched the series that came out 2 years ago. I liked the series. I think I watched it because I liked the actors. I have so many things to say. So this is one of the books I was able to read in July. I wasn't able to read that much in July. But overall, I like the stories. It involves witches and demons and vampires, and it's very interesting. The concept is super interesting. So the main character is a professor, and she's a witch, but she tries not to use her magic. And she's performing research at the Oxford University Library, and she unknowingly calls for a book, and the book has been lost for centuries, but she's able to call it up from wherever it was. When she puts her hands on the book, all the creatures around the area sense it, and so they all start streaming into this library, watching her, waiting for her to call the book back. And she doesn't know any of this, for a while. All of these creatures want this book for their own reason. They don't really know what the book contains. Nobody has seen it for centuries. The witches think that it'll tell them how to get rid of vampires. The demons think it'll tell them what their origins are. And then, who else? The vampires, yes. The vampires want it, well, namely, there's another main character who is a love interest. He is not a physicist. He's a professor of biology, and he is researching, or he has been researching for a couple of years, why the races seem, or the creatures seem like they are dying out, and he believes that the book is going to help him figure out a way to fight that and combat that. Now, with that being said, the concept was interesting to me, but a fault that I found personally for me was that this was so full of details. It looks like it's impeccably researched, job well done, but there are so many things that are thrown at you, and it seems like there are so many subplots and just so many things going on. You can kind of get lost and bogged down. That would be like the number one negative that I would say of this book. I'm still going to read the rest of the series because A, I have it, B, it does include elements of things that are interesting to me, and the second book has like time travel, which I'm super excited about. So I enjoyed it overall, but it wasn't my favorite. And then lastly on this shelf, we have Brandon Sanderson's The Mistborn trilogy. Again, this is something that I don't think I've heard anything negative about, so I'm super excited for this. And then on the bottom shelf, we have book 1 and book 2 of a series. So this is originally a French book. This is the Mirror Visitor series. The first book is called A Winter's Promise, and then the second book is called The Missing of Claire de Lune. The main character in this book is able to sense the past of objects, and she's able to walk through mirrors. And she is set to marry somebody from a different realm. No, not a different realm, but she's set to marry somebody that is far away, and so she goes on a journey, and that is all I know about this. But again, this is something that I think I haven't heard anything negative about. Next, we have Truth Witch. So this is a series by Susan Dennard. Truth Witch, Wind Witch, and Blood Witch. So the witches in this world are able to control one thing, I think. And our main character is the Truth Witch, so she's able to discern truth from lies. And I think she keeps this skill hidden because if people were to find out, then they would use her as a pawn. So we follow her, whatever it is. That's all I know about this one. I think I already spoke about these. I think at the time I only had Aurora Burning, but I finally got Aurora Rising, so book 1. And then we have Cinda Williams' Chima, Kima, I have no idea how to say her name, but the Demon King, or the Seven Realms series. Again, okay, battery died. Next we have the Seven Realms series by Cinda Williams' Chima, Kima, not sure how to say her name, but this is another series that came highly recommended. And then this one, I think, is the one that's been recommended the most. So this is the N.K. Jemisin series, the Broken Earth trilogy, 5th season, Obelisk Gate, and then the Stone Sky. Not only has this been recommended because of like the story and the characters and whatnot, but I think the writing style is something that people always talk about. So I'm super excited for that. And then lastly on this shelf, we have John Gwynn's, what is this called? The Faithful and the Fallen series. So we have 4 books starting off with Malice, and then Valor, Ruin, and Wrath. This is something that I'm eager to start. I kind of want to really dive into a rich world, and I'm hoping that this is it. And then beside this Billy bookshelf, I have this tiny Billy bookshelf. So I have 3 of these Billy bookshelves. On this shelf, I think the only 2 books that I haven't spoken about are the Diana Gabaldon Outlander series. I have books 1 through 4, and then the Bromance Club. And then these are, well, these are copies or duplicates that I'm returning. So the City of Ghosts, I already have a copy from Amazon. That's from Waterstones. And then I got this from my sister, but then she ended up finding it in our local bookstore. So these are books that I have to return. I usually don't put things on my shelves, but I just put this so I would have it out of the way. Over here, I finally got the Shadow and Bone trilogy. So this is something I'm excited to read, but I think I read something negative about it, so I'm waiting kind of to forget about it. But that's the first thing on this shelf. I finally got the first book in this duology. So for a very long time I only had Vengeful, but now I finally have Vicious, so I'm excited to read this. I think this is a story about anti-villain. It's a story about villains, anti-villains, something along those lines. I got 2 of Trisha Levenseller's books. So I read 2 of them, Warrior of the Wild and Shadows Between Us. I absolutely loved them, so I went ahead and I ordered these. I believe I got these off of Amazon as well. I got Daughter of the Pirate King and then Daughter of the Siren Queen. I tried not to look at any reviews before getting these because I definitely knew I wanted to get them, so I avoided looking at reviews either on Goodreads or videos on YouTube, whatever it may be. I don't remember if I spoke about this, but I have Our Dark Duet. I unfortunately don't have the Savage Song, which is book 1. This is book 2. My order got canceled, so I'm gonna have to find this edition somewhere else. Down here I have a box set of Maria Snyder's Poison Study series. It's what is it called? The Chronicles of Ixia. Chronicles of Ixia, 6 books. I've read the first 2. This is the 3rd one. I just laid it out so that I knew I wanted to read it. I really liked the first one. Second one, it had a lot of information, a lot of details. I felt like it was a bit slow at times, but I mean, if I were to compare this to Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, then the details in this are not that bad because there aren't many things that seem like they are subplots, so you don't really get lost, but it kind of is a bit slow. Next, I have Ray Carson's, this is part of a series, but this is like book 3 or book 2. The other books in the series, the order was canceled, I think, or it was lost. So I'm hoping if it was lost that it's going to show up like the other books that have been showing up this week. When I looked on Waterstones to try to get my hand on this edition in the other books, I couldn't find it. So I'm just going to hold out and see if those other books decide to appear. If not, I'm just going to have to wait until I travel so that I can get this specific cover. And then I finally got Crimson Bound by Rosamund Hodge. So I've read Cruel Beauty, loved it. This is the second book in the series, but it's a companion novel, so it's not something that has to be read in chronological order. And this is about Red Riding Hood. Cruel Beauty was about Beauty and the Beast, or it was like a retelling, or not a retelling, but it used that trope of Beauty and the Beast. So this is something that I'm super, super excited for because I really think I'm going to enjoy it. Ah, come on. All right. Next, we have A King So Cold by Ella Fields. I think this is primarily like a romance set in a fantasy world. I could be wrong, but I do know that it focuses on romance. And then these two books are part of a series. I don't remember if it's a duology or not, but we have, I think this is book 1, The Star-Touched Queen, and then this is book 2. For the longest time, I think... Actually, no, I always had book 1. Book 2 was one of the books that was lost as well, but all of a sudden it showed up this week. So I'm happy about that. Thankfully, I didn't go and order a replacement, so I don't have to worry about any duplicates. And then down here, I think the only newest books on the shelf are, I believe, these two. So Final Girls by Riley Sager. I said this before in a previous haul. I heard that you should read Riley Sager's books in order of publication so that you can appreciate like the improvement in the writing style. So I want to stick to that. So this is one of the books. I think it's one of the recent books. And then Karen Slaughter's Pretty Girls. I believe this is a thriller. I don't remember what it was that got me to get this, but I think it was something that was like weird, or it was said to be eerie or something along those lines. I could be wrong. And then I got Holly Jackson's, I was about to say Holly Black, Holly Jackson's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I tried to get the other book, which was Good Girl Bad Blood. I think that's what it's called, but I wasn't able to find it. But this is a I think it's like a murder mystery. Yeah, it's a murder mystery. I also got Lucy Foley's The Guest List. Now, I've heard mixed reviews about this one. I'm kind of waiting to forget that before I pick this up. I don't want to go in with any expectations. And then I don't remember if this was something that I mentioned previously. I wrote down all the books that were part of that haul, but I don't really remember at this moment. But this is another thriller. So it's called No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is a used book from someone's book of the month. Like you can see, it's ripped. The story behind this is there is a girl that is on her way to visit her sick mom, and she stops at a rest area, and when she's heading back into her car, she notices that there is a child in a cage in the car next to her. And so she walks back into the rest area, and she has to figure out whose car it is and then how she can save that kid. I thought that was super interesting. So that's that shelf. And then down here we have, in terms of thrillers, The Family Upstairs. So I think this is like another cult read. Somebody gets murdered and it's in a house that's locked and there's only a baby that is like alive. So mystery, thriller, something. The Mercies. So this is off of Waterstones as well. So it's a Waterstones signed edition, and it has sprayed edges that I thought were cool. And it happens to be a signed edition, and it didn't cost any more than a regular one, so I thought, why not get it? But I thought this was beautiful as well. But after I got this, I found the same hardback in my local bookstore. But I mean, whatever. At least this one had sprayed edges, so that's kind of interesting. Come on, Jillian. All right. And then the next 3 books are all books that I got off of Amazon. So we have The Obsidian Tower by Melissa Caruso. For the life of me, I can't remember what else Melissa Caruso has written, because I know I've seen her name before. And then there's The Court of Miracles. I don't remember what these two are about, to be honest. And then I got Riot Baby by Tochi Onyebuchi. So I believe this is about a girl who has abilities, and her brother kind of helps keep her like stable and calm, and he gets incarcerated and she has to figure out what to do. I think roughly the story revolves around that. but I finally got that. I was waiting for them for a very long time. I had another order of stuff from Amazon that got canceled. I think Songs of Wraiths and Ruin, Song Below Water, and then something else that I was excited for, but all of them got canceled for some reason. So that's that. And then down here, these are just a bunch of books that I've read. I initially was going to put all of my read books in one place, but I thought it might be, I don't know, I think I'm just gonna start putting them back. So I have actually started putting the books back where they belong, but these are all books that I've spoken about before. And then we have two more items that are part of my book hauls as well. They're book related. So it's two puzzles. The first one is from the world of Shakespeare. So you get to see different scenes of London and you get to see the Globe Theatre. And then the second one is an image from Beauty and the Beast. So again, I love Disney classics and Beauty and the Beast is one of my favorites, and they're both 1,000 pieces. So that's the haul that I have for you today. I still have books coming in, but after that I think we're gonna be good, and hopefully I'll do more vlogs and more wrap-ups and more tags if I can find a tag that I like. So thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys next time. Please let me know what you think about any of the books that I've shown you, if you recommend them, if you have any opinions, good or bad, about them. I would love to hear from you guys. See you next time. Monty. What's wrong?